Microphone check. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ben Miller, and I'm an English teacher turned freelance writer. I'm getting into developing the skills of copywriting and email copywriting. And I just wanted to start this YouTube channel to document my journey and share bits of writing wisdom that I gather throughout the week. So let's get right into it. And I'll just share with you guys my thoughts for the week. Give you something to chew on here. You know, I post on Twitter at Ben Miller Writer. I'll provide a link below, and I'm also on LinkedIn. My goal for the next 90 days is to post on Twitter and LinkedIn each day, and also to do a longer piece of content, you know, whether it gets posted or not, just to really supercharge my momentum as a freelance writer. And I just love the craft of writing. The reason I got into teaching English is because I wanted to read and write for a living. I also love sharing my wisdom and what I learn and my writings with other people. And so after teaching full-time for 6 years, I started noticing that the grass looked a little greener as a freelance writer. And that meets my criteria of reading and writing for a living. So I'm just going to kind of share some of what I've learned over this past week as my journey is really getting started in earnest. You know, each day that goes by in this journey, it's like Frodo said to Samwise Gamgee, "I've never been this far past the Shire." And that's me every single day that I wake up. I've never been this far past the Shire. So it's very exciting. And another interesting thing is that I remember, I don't know if it was Frodo and Bilbo, but I think it was Bilbo in The Hobbit. He started that journey when he was 50 years old. I'm 31 years old now and trying something new. So here we go, guys. And here's the thought, kind of the premise for this whole video is another week of posting in the books. It's time to reflect. Journaling, posting, writing. Sometimes we amass so much that it could be regarded as a legacy. The trouble is, who's going to read it? Make sure that you take time to reflect on the legacy you've left for yourself while it is still living and breathing. Go back through your journals, posts, writings, videos, and take some time today to reflect and reminisce. And that's what I'm going to be doing with you guys here, is reflecting on what I've learned for the week. I've always journaled, especially over the last... when did I really start journaling? I would say for sure in earnest, I started journaling regularly in like 2019. Really got into writing 1,000 words a day, whether it's journaling or short stories. And periodically, one thing I would teach my students is this idea of parallel episodes. And it's similar events, times, circumstances, and you compare them. For me, I've always done that with the seasons. I use each changing of the season or time of year to reflect on what was I doing this time last year? Who was I with? What are the memories? What was I listening to? What was I watching? And furthermore, what did I write about? And sometimes, if I remember a particularly significant event or I'm just curious, I'll go back into my typed journals, which I date meticulously, and I'll read exactly what was on my mind for that day. So it's a good practice to actually not just journal regularly, which we'll get into here, but to go back and read those treasures that you've stored up for yourself. So another way to think about that one is, and with my posting on LinkedIn and Twitter, I don't just copy and paste. I know it's a different audience, it's a different kind of platform, and just like you can't step in the same river twice, it's hard to say the same thing the same way. You know, there's nothing new under the sun, but it's hard to say something exactly the same way. In this age of AI and copy and paste, I can't even copy myself. So here's another way to think about that. Let's see. There it is. So, again, take some time today to reflect on what you've done this week. Revisit the little legacy that you've left for yourself. So many times we get caught up in building a legacy for others that we fail to recognize and reflect on what our own works mean to us. Just scroll back through your own timeline, through your own journals, smile and nod in that quiet way, have a few chuckles. Maybe a sigh of relief that you finally did that thing you've been meaning to do. Saturday is a good day for reflection, reminiscing, and recreation, and Sunday is all about rest. That being said, with all my posting habit and the 90-day challenge, Sundays are going to be an optional because rest is important. You got to let your well fill up. You got to recharge. You got to let serendipity take its course when you're not chained to routine. Sometimes that bit of liberation from routine can spark a new idea. So on that note, let's talk about my journaling practice. So I've been reading The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron and dutifully writing my morning pages each day. Today I experienced the promises of this quote come true. So she wrote, "The light of insight is coupled with the power for expansive change. It is very difficult to complain about a situation morning after morning, month after month, without being moved to constructive action. The pages lead us out of despair and into undreamed of solutions. You can't complain about something day after day and not eventually do something about it. That's a double negative, so let me rephrase. So now I'm speaking. If you're honest about your life, even those tasks you loathe and resist, if they persist and you stay honest about it, you'll eventually take care of them. That's how you unblock your inner artist. Your creativity will serve you in all professional endeavors too. What's your journaling practice, and how has it affected your creativity and productivity? Leave a comment below. So let's see some other thoughts on that piece. Another way to consider it. So yeah, this was one of those weeks for me. My morning pages, written in my black soft cover B5 Leuchtturm 1917, contain all of my whimsy, hopes, dreams, fears, dreads, to-dos, and everything else. I even do some drafting of content in there to see how my unbridled creative mind blends into my professional writings. I may eventually separate the two, but for now, they get along pretty well in there. Looking back to October 1st, I see how a combination of self-affirmation and encouragement, while acknowledging my fears, led to a week of accomplishment, surprise, and productivity. I know those blank pages hold great potential. I am excited to discover the undreamed of solutions and creative breakthroughs that will scrawl across the neatly lined pages like a ball of yarn thrown across the carpet for a cat to chase. So, the morning pages, another takeaway I've had there is that the morning pages are there to serve you. You are not necessarily there to serve the pages. Now, I call it spoons and forks. You need, it's helpful to use a tool one way. Sometimes you need a spoon, sometimes you need a fork. So when I started the morning pages, I did it by filling up the 3 full pages, handwritten, and I typed it up, and it ended up being just over 1,000 words, which I used to write journaling, stories, 1,000 words at a time. I was like, oh, this is something I've already done. I just didn't know it was also called Morning Pages. And the book, The Artist's Way, is also a course. I highly recommend checking it out. It's great, week by week activity. And the best part is free. Just write whatever comes to your mind first thing in the morning. And you can be flexible too. So I started, you start to feel your hand after a while. So I started out doing the full 3 pages, and then I said, well, I know that each page is about 333 words. So then I would do 1 complete page. It actually started out in this Mead 5-star. Spent about $10 on this one at Target. Liked the color, quality pages, And that is an upgrade from, an old 34-cent notebook. Got this at Walmart. I used to just love cheap journals because I didn't want the paper to be, it always felt pretentious to me, like the moleskins and things like that. I always wanted to guarantee that no matter what I write on that page, my thoughts are going to be more profound and worthwhile than the paper they're written on. But once I started writing in that Mead, some serendipity took course, which I'll get to in a later course, later in the video about how I discovered the Loic term. But serendipity took over. But anyways, started doing 3 pages, then 1 page, and the rest typed, about 670 words to round up to 1,000. Now I've realized, like, this process really is unblocking my inner creativity for story ideas, for professional writing, and I realized the pages need to serve me. And it does take in a composition. This is it's caught there. This is a composition-sized notebook, a B5, and filling a page entirely takes about 15 minutes. So I've reduced it to just 1 handwritten page in the morning, and then I'm just excited to get to my writing activities for the day, what I'm learning about copywriting, the ideas I have for posts, for emails, things like that. So I let the pages serve me. That's something I've learned. All right, so we'll come back to some more of that, but this is a bit of a variety show here. The channel is going to grow with my journey. So here's a thought. Hitting the ocean with a stick. Something my dad, a veritable Zen master right here in Ohio, something he's always said, hitting the ocean with a stick. Afraid what people will think of you? Most of the 7.888 billion, or as Carl Sagan would say, billion people on the planet will never know you lived and died. That's freeing. That's liberating. I'm always fascinated when I learn of an accomplished person only by the brief viral news of their passing. They lived hard, fast, and bright. So many wild stories and accomplishments. The thrills and boredom of an entire lifetime, gone by without me knowing who they were until after they're gone. That being said, we can have a meaningful influence on the few handfuls of people who we love and are loved by. So go ahead, hit the ocean with a stick, make a splash if you can. So that's just a liberating thing, not to get too caught up in what people think of you, because most people never will think of you, or if they do, it's in how they're thinking about how do you perceive them. It's, we're all our own favorite subject. There's that healthy dose of narcissism that helps us all survive. All right. So another kind of memento mori, reminder of death type post, which kind of in the vein there, same vein. I've been walking around my neighborhood while I still can before it gets way too cold, and autumn is here. There's a Nat King Cole song, and I think it's Red Garland plays it nicely on piano as well. Tis Autumn. Great lyrics. Maybe I'll post some of those. But that's a great song. And autumn, 'tis here, and so is Halloween. Some people started putting lawn decorations up mid-August, but I'm not going to go into that. So some people are all about the gory, macabre Halloween lawn decorations and costumes. The only memento mori, or reminder of death, that I need is a fallen leaf. And it's crazy. You see, sometimes those leaves are already brown and brittle by the time they drop. Sometimes green leaves fall. I've seen leaves that are green, yellow, red. Orange is a pretty rare color in some ways, but with those little specks on them, like something started eating at them. And it just is like, none of us are guaranteed another day. Life is precious. Each day is a gift. So many cliches are true, and cliches are more pablum until you experience them. But yeah, seeing a green leaf fall, man, that's like a life cut short. And the wind is pushing us all along, the winds of change, so may it fill your sails, you know? So the only memento mori I need is a fallen leaf. I don't need bloody skulls and zombie-looking skeletons in a yard. I like the old school Halloween decorations, like a cartoonish witch or something like that. A pumpkin on the porch. But yeah, it's kind of gone too far lately. A bit too much. So, next up. Yeah, I've been really into handwriting. I'm finishing up a course called Copy Hour by Derek Johansson. It's been great. I'm going to probably post a review of it. What would you say? A testimonial. And the preview of that is, people used to think that you could listen to an audiobook in your sleep and wake up knowing the subject, that it would get in your subconscious mind. It's not that easy. You do have to listen. You do have to read for yourself while you're conscious. You do have to do the work. But doing the work so far for the past 80 plus days, my simple testimonial right now is that it's like I woke up knowing how to write sales and copy. And I'm still growing in that. But of course, I was an English teacher. I've written, journals, stories, essays like that. So I'm already have good mastery of the craft, but sales and copy was something new to me. And it's like I wake up and I can write it now. And I'm still practicing every day. So yeah, that being said, that course got me into handwriting, copying by hand to learn, things like that. And so that's where this post comes from. A handwritten then typed letter of introduction, the closest thing to a howdy-do handshake in the age of digital marketing. All right. And another thought about handwriting, because I can type at the speed of thought. I think my record off the top of my head, I think it was like 144 words per minute on Nitro Type. I can type as fast as I can think, and there's benefits to that. There's times for that, because after a while, handwriting, you start to feel it. But what I've realized is that handwriting keeps a constant flow of creativity. Because when you type, you can catch up to your thoughts and you're like, okay, what's next? Sometimes you do hit a flow. Sometimes that's great. But with handwriting, it's like it dams up your thoughts a little bit, like a dam that lets a river store up. I think faster than I can write by hand. And so it's like it begins to dam and well up. My hand can only let so much through, like a tiny little funnel, like the tip of a pen. It only lets a certain amount of ink through at a time rather than all of it. A little pen clicking ASMR for you there. And the same thing, you can only get so much through your hand, and so it keeps the thoughts flowing steady. There's never a pause because you always feel like you know the next thing you're going to say, and it keeps a steady flow. And I find that what I learned from Morning Pages is sometimes it's great to get an email, a post, an article, whatever you're writing, a story. It's often great when you can get started on it with a page of handwriting, maybe 2 pages, and then type it up, switch to typing, and even alternate back and forth if it's a longer thing. So yeah, handwriting has been great. My dad always says, completion produces satisfaction. So true. All right. There's some more quotes from my dad, probably in all these videos. He's a very wise man. Maybe I'll have him on here sometime, get him his own channel started. Eating your vegetables. That's what I call doing the task that you'd put off forever if you could. Maybe that gives vegetables a bad name, though. Either way, both things are good for you. Like my dad always tells me, what you resist will persist, echoing the wisdom of Carl Jung. My dad always said that. I Googled it. I was like, wait, that's got to be from somewhere, because my dad's read thousands of books. My parents' home is like a living library with all the books. And turns out that one is from Carl Jung. What you resist will persist. Similarly, to paraphrase Marcus Aurelius, the obstacle isn't the way, the obstacle is the way. So, some good quotes about, as Larry the Cable Guy says, get her done. That's the bottom line. All right. So, practice is amazing. I'm college educated, taught English for a decade. If you include, I started student teaching in 2013, did that for 2 years, subbed for a year and a half, taught full-time for 6 years. I call it a round up to a decade. We'll call it a decade, all teaching experience considered. Not to mention I started college in 2010 with the purpose of getting my education degree. So I gave a lot of my life to that, and I'm all the better for it. So I've written many short stories, journaled regularly for years, and I'm still getting better at my craft. How? Practice. Writing is a muscle. Use it or lose it. I think I have some more thoughts about that in another post. Like I said, on LinkedIn, I say things a little bit differently. Yeah. So some other thoughts. Yes, I'm glad I clicked on this. So yeah, writing is a muscle. You got to use it or lose it. So writing is also like a camera. If you work at it, the technology gets better over the years. Writing, whether stories, journals, or professional pieces, takes on a new clarity the better you get. I look at each thing I write like a Polaroid photo. It is a snapshot of my life, where I was, who I was with, how I saw things, all written down in my signature style. Old writings will always have nostalgic value, even if it is a blurry, underdeveloped photo from my childhood in the 90s. But now that I've become a better writer, those same old snapshots come through in HD. You know what? Some of them are as good as 4K in writing. The right words are worth 1,000 pictures. And at some point, don't let the technology, don't let your writing ability, your phone camera, whatever it is, stop you from creating, from capturing. Because Neil Gaiman even said at one point, like, his writing, he realized he's about as good as he's going to get at writing, so he might as well tackle this one story idea he'd been wrestling with for a while. And that's why it's just like those childhood photos from the 90s that were taken on disposable cameras are just as valuable as a 4K photograph or video today, because you captured the experience to the best you could at the time it happened. And it's all about your perspective, It's all about the angles you take in the photo, what the content of it. So just get started. I will say getting the new iPhone 15 Plus as an upgrade from my old iPhone 8 Plus that I probably had for about 5 years definitely inspired me to start this YouTube channel. And I've just got my Blue Yeti microphone plugged right into the phone, $30 ring light from Target, lights, camera, action, baby. So becoming a better writer, having a better camera is pretty nice though. All right. I'll avoid some of my longer articles on LinkedIn for now, maybe just do some highlights on those later. So, what a difference a page makes. Taking the time to fill one page with handwriting, whether it is for practice, yourself, or someone else, will positively influence your mindset, creativity, and productivity. Plus, that sense of accomplishment feels pretty good. I got the idea of what a difference a page makes from, it's a jazz song. My favorite version is Houston Person. Houston Person. What a difference a day makes. Great song. All right. One of my goals is to eventually make 6 figures. My first goal is to get up to 4,000 or 5,000 a month, but yeah, get into that 6-figure range. And someone on Twitter said, I did it. I made 6 figures in one day, and he drew 6 stick figures. That was Rob Rando, Chillionaire. So I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah, there's a lot of good people on Twitter. Emily, MJO Services said, your level of success is directly related to how much effort you put in. Won't explain. And George Bruno, shout out to you, George. I got the idea of the format for my own YouTube channel from that, just kind of doing a week in review from the posts. But George said, extending grace to another man can be a form of ministry. Go ahead and make someone's day. Give people a compliment. Just, spread compliments if it strikes you, Just, yeah. All right. So, yeah. Neil Gaiman said, I wish that Moleskine hadn't gone over to cheaper, thinner paper. Leuchtturm 1917 notebooks are better paper and cope well with fountain pens. I should also mention that I enjoy writing with the G2 05 pen. Very fine. It's the very fine. The pleasantly scratchy feel as I scroll across the page. So, some good stuff there. And that's it for my Twitter review and commentary. We'll probably get to wrapping this up here. Oh yeah, here's some additional thoughts for you. So authenticity, be real, add in 1 part professionalism and 1 part swagger. Those are the common denominators I've gathered about how to introduce yourself to clients in a letter of introduction. The great sin of LOIs is copy and pasting generic templates. In this digital world, we can't always shake hands, but a handwritten, then typed letter of introduction is probably the next best thing. Oh, and if you're feeling spicy, hit 'em with a howdy. Okay, so yeah, 90 days, well, and counting now. We're past that point, but we're in our final quarter of the year. In the comments, what's your goal for the 4th quarter of the year? Again, mine is to post regularly every day. I've realized, again, the goal has to serve me. So post every weekday. Saturdays are extra credit. Sundays are mandatory rest. Got to let it build up. Got to let the ideas dam up in my mind and fill. So optional posting on the weekends, basically, because you got to keep it fresh. You don't want burnout. And so if you want more long form stuff, check me out on LinkedIn. I'll put a link down there. I've got a lot of good articles on there, but I wanted to keep this video relatively short as an introduction. Oh man, it wouldn't be a video by me if I didn't talk about what coffee I'm drinking. I've got the Starbucks Reserve from Malawi. And they do dark roasts on all their stuff. I had the Vietnam as well. Absolutely devoured that bag. So good. I usually like locally fresh roasted coffee, but the Starbucks, the packaging caught my eye every time I go to work in one of their coffee shops, and I had to find out, and it's been very enjoyable. Dark roast, beans are very darkly roasted and oily, but it's a great cup, guys. So thanks for watching my video, especially if you watch the whole thing. Follow me on Twitter at BenMillerWriter with an R at the end. And I'm on LinkedIn. I'll, post that as well in the description. But hey, I'm just getting started. Feeling good about this first video. Thank y'all for watching. And to keep things basic, I plan on probably doing this every Saturday. Kind of a weekend review, good reflection tool. And I still get to, get up in front of the class, so to speak, and share my thoughts on video by being able to speak them aloud. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm looking forward to see where this goes. I hope you got some value out of this video. Onwards and upwards, y'all.